Y'all, words cannot describe how stupid, crazy excited I am that I got this in the mail yesterday. And yes, it is the NUTRIMILL Impact Grain Mill. It is their brand new grain mill, and they sent it to me for review. And so we're going to be doing that today. We're going to be unboxing and reviewing the Impact Grain Mill from NUTRIMILL. Hey y'all, welcome back to Grains and Grit. My name is Felicia, and on this channel we talk all about real whole grains from a biblical perspective. I have been milling my grains for over a decade, and I teach you how to do the same and the importance of actually incorporating real whole grains into your diet. So as I stated, this video is going to be an unboxing and full review of the brand new NUTRIMILL Impact Grain Mill, which I am so excited about for various reasons that we're going to be getting into. So y'all have to help me name her. It has to start with an I because she's the Impact. So let me know below, comment below ideas for a name. I have to use her, feel her out, see what I'm feeling for a name. So we'll have to see. Before we get started, do know that I do have a link to the Impact Grain Mill. And now right now when this video is going out, there are Black Friday sales going on. And to catch up with all the sales and to know any and all sales going on right now, just go to grainsandgrit.com/holidays, and that's going to show you a web page of all my gift giving ideas, anything that's on sale at the moment, coupon codes. Do know the Impact Grain Mill is not going to be on a Black Friday sale, but that's because the reason she's called the Impact, and this is one thing I love from NUTRIMILL, is because they really were looking to make a grain mill that was good quality, but that was more affordable, so more people can start milling their own grains at home. And the beauty of the Impact is it's only retails at $199. Plus, if you use my link and my coupon code, you get an extra $20 off of that. So that makes a brand new grain mill to be only $179. And I believe it comes with free shipping. Hello, you can't beat that. So for grain mills that usually are $350 on up, the fact that this one is a much more affordable pricing, but what I suspect is it's not going to compromise on quality. And that's what I'm most excited about, that we're going to be testing out today to see if it's worth spending your money on, if it's still the same quality, even though it is cheaper. Here she is. So I will say, pretty light. I estimate maybe 15 pounds. But just to look at what is on the box that it tells you, it is, let me see, it says patented cyclone air filtration, keeps the motor and milling heads cool, enhancing performance and longevity. Powerful 1200 watt motor, which is very typical for Impact grain mills. But the 1200 watt motor is the same motor that you find in the NUTRIMILL Classic and the Wondermill. It says improved dust-free milling, so it ensures a clean, mess-free milling experience. And then stainless steel milling heads, that's what I said about an Impact mill. It's got stainless steel on the inside. And as with any type of grain mill like this, it is for your dry, non-oily grains, legumes, or seeds. So you don't do coffee in here. You don't do nuts. You don't do those type of oily, wet grains. You want very, very dry grains only in these, just like with any other grain mill. Okay, now for other specs that it's saying is that it actually has a 12-cup flour canister and an 8-cup grain hopper capacity, which I believe is the same as my Wondermill and I think the NUTRIMILL Classic. I'm going to put here on the screen the capacity of the NUTRIMILL Classic, which is another grain mill that they offer, and also my Wondermill, which is not NUTRIMILL. I'm going to list it here for the capacities for those to compare. All right, so first off, we have in the box is, of course, a user guide. And I will say this is like very easy. I love it when my manuals and user guides are like easy peasy. It has a warranty up to 5 years. This is to cover manufacturing defects in materials and workmanship for 5 years with a limited lifetime warranty on the motor and milling heads. And now let's see what she actually looks like. Okay. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Might need to be a two-person job here. Okay. So I probably should have just gotten that out in 2 separate pieces, but that's okay. All right. That is all that comes in the box. I will say it was packaged well, no damage in shipping. I have to say, how cute is this? The feel of it. So this right here is plastic. This is plastic. Plastic here, no surprise. Even my Wondermill is plastic, and the NUTRIMILL plastic also as well. And it looks like we have the hopper in here in the canister, but it does feel good. Like, it does feel sturdy. Okay, so they do have here just like with my Wondermill, there is a padding here. That's basically a little filter for the very, very fine flour that goes in. Looks like it's going to sit in a bit more securely. There you go. Okay, that does feel, that was very easy, just snapped right in place. This too has stickers that can be removed, reminding you what you can and cannot mill. Let's see, in the flour texture and how to install the hopper. The hopper aligns. Okay, it's pretty easy. Just, you can, even without the directions, you can figure it out. It's how it fits. So it just comes in, twist, boom, and then that does feel secure. I do like how here it actually has measuring cups here on the side. I do have to say, I love the impact, how compact this impact is. It is, yeah, that's nice. And do you know, for storage, so say if your cabinet space is shorter, this you can take right off. This comes right out, and we can do this. And then this super cool stores in your hopper. Hello. And then you can store it just like this to make it really compact. So if you have to put it in a in a cabinet, I like that. And then it's now, and you can also carry it as one unit with it being snapped in like that. That is really cool. Huge, big fan of that. So, and the power cord comes out so it doesn't stay connected. Okay, as far as feel, I like how it feels. It is exactly what I would expect from NUTRIMILL products, where it feels like good quality, to be honest. Yes, this is plastic, but it doesn't feel like super cheap plastic, like it's gonna break. Okay, and it does have a knob here in the back that is listed 1 through 7. Let me see exactly what that means. Okay. So what this knob is back here is, it says that it's a feed rate. The rate, I guess, that the grains are going to be fed into the mill. And it does give you a little chart of what to use. And it's here on the hopper as well. So we are going to test it, multiple grains. I do want to get some of my smaller grains. So we're going to test all of this. Let's test the small ones. We've got some quinoa and amaranth. I probably will do the amaranth actually. And then we're going to mill up some wheat. And then I'm going to throw in some of my corn, which would be considered large, like the beans, to see. And then I'm also going to test out to see how fine or how coarse these settings are. Okay, so we have small, medium, coarse grains. We are actually going to be doing millet today, mainly because it was right there in front of me and I didn't have to dig for my amaranth. But this is a super teeny tiny grain like quinoa, like amaranth. Then we have our hard white wheat here. This is Stardust from 4 Generations Organic Farms. And then we have, for our coarse grain, we're going to be doing just some good old dried dent corn. I think I got this from Azure Standard. And if you're wanting to know where to buy grains, all the things, just go to grainsandgrit.com/buygrains. And I've got links there for y'all, any coupon codes that I have, so on and so forth. So be sure to check that out. We're going to add the grains in first. And we're going to be doing so we're going to be grinding it where we're going to do a fine grain and then switch it to where it states it should be a coarser grain. See if we're able to get coarser grains. So let's start with the small one first, and let's mill up some millet. So this says to put the feed rate at 1. So I'm just going to do a little bit under that, and then let's turn it to, okay. Okay, so that's how you turn it. So you have to turn the knob and then quickly adjust to where it needs to be. So that's unique. You do not adjust where it goes to first and then turn it on. Just once you turn that knob, it's there. So courage of your convictions. Okay, so that was on the number 1 setting. I will say one thing I realized is there are little notches on the dial. Now it's not at all of them. It's mainly at 1, 4, and 7 So for the one setting, make sure it is to that first notch, because at first it wasn't going in until I realized that. And so I moved it to that notch and then it started feeding it in. So that's important. And there we go. Now I will say, yeah, that did well. And it's not hot at all. Now I know that I didn't immediately test this. This is not hot. It is a bit slightly warm to the touch. So it's not crazy heating the grains. But y'all, that is some good, really, really fine flour there. So it did that millet very well. I am very pleased. That's a good, fine flour. Now, so yeah, that millet worked beautifully. Very, very well. So let us try to see if we can get it, how it works on a coarser setting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and test it, do all the way to the coarsest setting, which is a 7. And there is a notch for that. So we're going to turn it on as coarse as it'll go, and I'm going to see if it makes any difference. Okay, that went through really fast. I'm even wondering if that may have been too coarse for such tiny grains. I'm kind of wondering if it did it at all. Okay, no, it did go through. I would say, now this is on the coarsest setting, and as I suspected, this is still fine flour. Let me compare. Okay, now I can only go by feel. This is slightly coarser. I can feel, yeah, like when I do that, I can feel a bit of a coarseness where I don't with this one. This is very fine flour. But you can see there, like that's still good flour. That is not coarse enough for like a cream of wheat grits type coarseness. But maybe that happened because it is a tiny grain. So let us test some other ones. I have to say so far, I am liking this grain mill. Now let's try some wheat berries. Now these size wheat berries, going to be pretty much the same for any wheat that you have, whether it be kamut, which are larger, or down to soft white wheat, which is typically a little smaller. So these will be good. This one says to do on a 2 to 3 setting or 4+ for coarse. I'm actually going to see if it can do a 1. I would like to see how fine of a flour I can get milling this wheat. And then we're going to see how coarse we can get it as well. So again, this is hard white wheat that I am milling. We're going to add a little bit here. And let's just do the number 1 setting. All right, I see why they recommend the feed rates that they do. I first put that on a 1, and the grains actually weren't really being fed through. I think because it was too small of an opening. As soon as I moved it to 2, so you can adjust it while it's milling. As soon as I moved it to the 2 setting, it then started feeding in the grains. And then at some point about 3/4 of the way through, I then moved it up to a 3. That really eased the grains going through. So just keep that in mind. If you look at it and it's not going through, it's probably just because you don't have it open enough, too small of an opening for the size grains that you're using. So now let's see how fine of a flour this makes. So here is the flour that I got, and that is just good fine flour. I will say it does not feel as fine as the millet did, but that's because it's millet. You will find that with different wheat berries, some will just feel finer than others. So I think for me, again, I did switch it to that 3 setting. I think the 2 would be best, but this is still a good fine flour for making bread. That I am a fan and I'm liking. So now let's try a coarse setting. And again, the reason why I'm trying a coarse setting is to see if I'm able to get like a cream of wheat type coarseness here. Now I'm going to go put this in and then immediately turn it up all the way to the highest one, which will be a 7. Okay, it is coarser. I would say this is, I would say too coarse for me to make bread the way that I want it. But, and again, this is something that I just don't know if you will be able to see on camera the coarseness of it. because it's really more of a feel. But I would say this is not coarse enough for cream of wheat, except, let me try something. I'm kind of wondering, I wonder if I sift it out a bit, that would probably help. Yeah, actually, if I sift it a bit, so what that's going to do is it's going to sift out the finest of flour. And then what's left, let me bring this around to you. What's left right there, that I would say is a pretty good coarseness for cream of wheat. I would say I would may want it a little bit more coarse for that, but that's not bad. Okay, that's not bad. So, but yeah, I would say that at the coarsest setting, this actually gets you, I would say, a pretty close cream of wheat setting. Pretty cool. It is time for corn. You may be wondering why you mill corn. That is for corn flour, for things like cornbread. And I'm going to test to see if we're able to get a good setting for grits. All right, so for large grains, it says that it needs to be about 3 or 4 to get it fine, or 5 or up for coarse. So we're going to start this at see which one it goes through. So let's probably do a 3. Okay, so that was certainly a test because corn is the largest and I would say the most difficult one to get to grind up. Now, it wasn't really feeding them in until they were about at a 4 setting, and then I had to keep adjusting to get it through. Eventually, I got it all the way up to 7, the highest setting, and I kind of had to do this right here at the top to help feed the corn in. So I do know that corn goes in much easier in a stone grind mill. My NUTRIMILL Harvest can handle this a lot easier than my Wondermill, but it can be done. So now let's see how it looks. Okay, that's a fine corn flour. So if you're wanting corn flour, this is the way to go. And I'll go ahead and tell you, considering I already had it all the way up to a 7 for maybe the last half of it to be milled, you are not making grits from this. This is all flour. I would say it's probably even too fine for a typical corn meal, that coarseness, but that's, you know, that's a good corn flour for your cornbread, stuff like that. If you need to dust it with something, that's pretty good. So it did take it. It took a little bit of finesse to get it through, but it did mill it. Yay. Okay, so as far as milling all of these different types of grains, it did a really great job. Again, the only time that it really struggled was with the dent corn, which is not surprising for me, but it did take it. I think ideally it is to be on the highest setting for dent corn, which would be the 7. And even at that highest setting, it was still giving me good, decently fine flour. I would be perfectly content making cornbread with that type of flour. Not coarse enough for grits. So let's actually talk about what I like and what I don't like about this grain mill. So what I don't like about this grain mill is mainly here on the knob back here is I wish I could adjust the setting before it turned on and started milling, because you just immediately have to just know exactly where you're going to put it. And as soon as it turns on, it starts milling and you got to adjust it pretty quick. Now that's, I guess in a way, not a super big deal, because if the grain is large, it's not going to be going through milling until you get it to the right setting anyway. So not a huge big deal, but just kind of a little thing I wish I could adjust before turning it on. Another thing is here on the knob, you can't really see, but they do have this sticker back here, which is coming off very easily. And with flour being here, not going to last a long time, where it's showing you like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 7. So that's great. One thing I don't like is they only have the notches to show you where it is at 1, 4, and 7. So you kind of have to guess for those in-betweens. Again, not kind of a huge big deal, but I kind of wish that they had little notches to mark each level. I will say the lid, I really have to be careful to make sure that I am, because this wants to pop out. This pops out pretty easily. And when it pops out, that means it's not locked in as well. So you really need to make sure that you have this part here popped in to ensure that the lid is locked on well. Another thing that I don't like is the fact that there's no way of covering the hopper. Even if I take this off short here, this is open, allowing bugs and things like that to get in it. So I highly do recommend that you put just a towel over here or something to keep things from falling in here that you don't want in here. You know, again, probably one of the ways that they cut something to make it more affordable for you is a cover over this hopper. So it doesn't have one, but I would feel perfectly fine putting a good towel over this, or even like a plate over this. That would be fine. The last thing that is kind of a negative is the fact that it is a 1200 watt motor. So for those of you who may be off grid or wanting something that doesn't use as much power, a stone grind mill is going to use less power. Those motors are generally around 500 or 600 watts. So about half of the wattage, or of course manual grain mills, which use nothing at all. So that is something to consider. I believe this is a 12 amp, so 12 amps that need to be pulled. So for people who are off grid, that is always something that you have to consider of how much amperage and how much wattage is being used. Now, what do I like about this grain mill? I love that it is more compact. I love the price. I mean, $179 with my coupon code for a grain mill that's going to get you, this is perfectly good flour for making bread. And you can be milling your own grains at home with just the investment of $179. Yes, please. Yes. And I love the fact that that was the whole reason for them doing this, is to make a grain mill more affordable so more people can be milling their grains at home, but also not sacrificing on quality. Because I will say, this is a good grain mill. This is, it feels well made. I do not feel like, it doesn't feel like I got a cheap grain mill. It really doesn't. Now, yes, it's very simple in its design. It's not super crazy fancy looking. You don't have the beautiful wood, things like that, but it's a grain mill, and it's going to allow you to get real whole grains into your house. Another thing that I love is that it is compact. So the fact that this comes off, it can be stored in the hopper, as well as the power cord stored in here as well. So that is a wonderful thing, because look at how compact this is. And I like how all of this can be picked up at the same time. It's not like when I pick this up that this is gonna want to fly off. This feels very secure. It's very much together. I don't feel like it's going to fall off. So I love that design. I thought that was brilliant that they did that. So overall, does it get the Grains and Grit seal of approval? Absolutely, it does. I will be using this grain mill myself exclusively for a while, just to really test it out. But overall, I really like it. So again, be sure to check out the link below for this grain mill and my coupon code to get that extra $20 off, to bump it from $199 down to $179. So there you have it, y'all. Again, I am stupid excited about this grain mill. I mean, just thank you, NUTRIMILL. Thank you for thinking of people who are really wanting to be milling their grains at home, but maybe not be able to afford those $350, $400, $500, $600 grain mills. And if you're wanting to see reviews of other grain mills, then be sure to check out this video here. Again, I've done reviews of the NUTRIMILL Harvest and also that Wonder Junior Deluxe grain mill. So be sure to check this out here and let me know what you think. We need a name for her. Has to start with an I. So let me know in the comments below what you think. And as always, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.